All right, Dr. Ed Park from Recharge Biomedical. We're talking to Dr. Duncan Ross, founder of Chimera Labs. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
This is my second Chimera conference, or third maybe. You just gave a little talk at A4M, which is when I met you guys less than a year ago. And I really believe you're changing the world in a good way, and things are going well. This particular day, we've had talks from these, I'm going to pivot, wonderful speakers, and they've all just been home runs. I'm recording Doug Spiel's right now, his spiel. So tell us about exosomes as from the point of view of a vintner or somebody who actually like makes the wine or the beer or whatever analogy you want to use. There's things that can go wrong. Like if I read a book or saw a YouTube video on how to make beer, I would probably mess it up. The beer would get contaminated. Tell us, first of all, what are the risks of just buying any old person's exosomes?
So I heard something interesting. I was at a conference and the head of CBER was on this conference via satellite. And I asked one of the smartest questions I've ever asked. I said, you know, everybody always asks, what do you have to do to get an RMAT? Or what companies have gotten an RMAT?
What's an RMAT?
An RMAT is a regenerative medicine advanced therapy indication for an IND for a drug with the FDA. That's what we all want. We want FDA approval. Right?
Okay.
Nobody wants to really work underneath the scenes. And I know the 20 or 30 companies that have gotten INDs, but what about the ones that haven't? And what did they do wrong? So I said, tell me about the RMATs that got rejected. So he said, the number one problem we have is that people come in, they have some paperwork, they have some journals that they've read, and they say, we're going to do this, we want an RMAT. And he looks at it, he's like, listen, so you're not running a lab, you're not culturing cells, you just read something and thought that you were going to do it. It's like, well, so anybody who has cultured cells knows how many things can go wrong in that. We're not going to give an RMAT indication to somebody who says they're going to do something. We're going to give an RMAT to somebody who has been doing it. And I think I've understood that since 2014. So I've been producing the product in a way that can get FDA approved. And they've inspected me and I think they've recognized that. Now I'm trying to write it up and apply for that RMAT right now. But I'm not taking tissue and just soaking it in saline and saying this is this. It's a much more manufactured process. I test the placentas for viruses, etc. ahead of time, things that I don't have to do. But because I have such a long period of time between when I got the tissue and when I make the exosome, I can do a lot of quality control issues that I can't in other ways. And that's why I am sort of positive on the idea of getting this RMAT indication.
So if I was to open up my own little stem cell harvesting exosome company, what would happen if I didn't have the right medium or oxygen content or even wash my hands? Like what kind of stuff can go wrong?
So the way that, as far as you could get on the internet right now and find cells, you can go find yourself a placental MSC. It will have been grown in fetal bovine serum.
Okay.
In order to grow that cell, you're going to have to use fetal bovine serum. Then you're going to have to figure out how to get it out. Fetal bovine serum will cause a terrible inflammatory reaction if you put it into your body. One of the main pieces of IP I think that Chimera has is getting cells out of a placenta without the use of any human or bovine serum. Therefore, we're not worried about allergic reactions or anything of that type. At the same time, we know that there are no exosomes in it. So if you take bovine serum or human serum, there are exosomes in it already. So you're going to take food, feed your cells, and then collect what those cells made and say that you made that. But it was probably in the medium that you seeded it with to begin with. That's not legitimate. The FDA knows that. So in the case of Chimera, like we don't have any exosomes in there to begin with. All the exosomes we collect are novel and came from the cells that we're growing. And in that manner, we create a repeatable product.
So to that point, someone recently told me that, when you test a vial of Chimera exosomes, it comes back as normal saline. And so after talking to you, I realized, they're resuspended in normal saline, but because they're these spheres, you have to crack open the spheres to know what's in them. And that's, in fact, when I get a report from you, you've found out what's in them by opening the spheres. But it brings to mind a very important point, which is that there are quality control issues. If someone says they're producing an exosome, well, first of all, what's in it? They don't even bother cracking them open and finding out what's in it. And second of all, how do we know it's not just a particle? What is the qualification process that goes?
Could be dust.
All they know is that they've got a microscope like you that tells them there's a particle of this size. But they don't, for example, put it through flow cytometry for CD9 or the other markers.
Well, but that's you can't start going on a CD9. The people who really know in the world do not qualify exosomes based on CD963. That's like a secondary tier thing.
Right.
People who really understand exosomes understand those. We don't know the markers that are specific for exosomes right now. It's much more complicated than that. So if what I do know is that I know that a milligram or microgram amount of my exosomes are therapeutic. How do I know that? Because we treated so many people. So you don't doubt that. I'm working backwards. I'm working backwards from therapeutic efficacy to micrograms and billions of exosomes. It's not the other way. And nobody else who comes into the market says, okay, we have this, it's going to be that effective. It's only that effective because Kymera's exosomes are that effective. You don't know what yours are, and they're different. So it's an entirely different approach. I didn't do this based on the billions of exosomes. I did this based on what's working. 5 cc's is working. 5 cc's is this many exosomes. 5 cc's is this many micrograms per mil. That's the way it went. It went organically from having cells. It did not go from, okay, we're going to compete with Kymera and start making different.
Yeah. And that's the only reason I'm sitting here less than, 9 months, 10 months later. I heard Dr. Shelley Jordan, and I'd known about exosomes for years, but until you hear a person face to face say, I had a motorcycle accident, I broke this many bones and lost this much blood, and you look that good, I'm like, okay, either he's a pathological liar or there's something here. And that was really what sold me. So I think you're right. I mean, from my limited experience over the last 4 months, I see a lot of really profound changes. So, you can't argue with success, But a lot of people say, well, I want to buy this exosome because it's cheaper or there's more of it. But I always kind of have that healthy skepticism because I'm thinking, well, I know how compulsive Dr. Ross appears to be. So is everyone going to be that compulsive about what they put out in the market?
Well, but how would they even do that? Like the way that my ear works is it worked or it didn't work. I heard it in this amount. That's how I'm modifying it, not based on the numbers or the micrograms. I mean, it's a lot more complicated for me.
Yeah, it's a heuristic. I mean, I talked to somebody who tried an alternative brand and said it didn't work. So no amount of money is worth it if it's just not working. It actually hurts your reputation.
It's just too hard. I mean, the word exosome, remember, every cell makes an exosome. An orange makes exosomes. Plants make exosomes, actually. So are you going to compare your plant exosome to my mesenchymal stem cell exosome? Did you grow, even if you were growing placental mesenchymal exosomes, just like me, are you growing it exactly the same way? Did you take those cells out at the same time? Did you grow it in this amount of oxygen like you're asking me? No, you're not. I mean, there's so many variables that go into this.
And they probably use fetal bovine serum.
They probably did.
Yeah.
Remember, it took me years to not use fetal bovine serum.
Yeah.
I did at the beginning, to be honest. But I don't anymore.
Well, that's the funny thing. People are saying, well, we have more exosomes from umbilical cord blood or from amniotic fluid. And the point I think you brought home, and other people did as well, what are you really getting? All you know is that there's particles. There's no QA. And the more donors is not the better. That's more chances for infection and impurity.
That's right. And there are things about that I don't even want to tell you because they're trade secrets. I don't want to tell you exactly how umbilical cord exosomes work or amniotic fluid exosomes work. What I'm doing is whatever is best based on what I've done. If there was something better, I'd be doing it. And I have more experience than anybody in the field, right? So I'm not just doing something to sell you. If there was something better, I'd be doing it. And that's the point I want to get across. I can do anything. this is what I settled on because it's the best that I can.
Yeah. Well, as with everything, caveat emptor. So, for all those people that think that exosomes are worth trying and are price shopping, always, think about what's the provenance of the cells, what's their quality control, what's their experience, and are they in it for the long haul? Because they do come up, and sometimes they go away. Almost fly by night. These companies selling "quote unquote" cheaper
I don't want to mention
exosomes.
this one company.
Yeah, I don't think you need to.
I haven't even heard of them in the last couple of months. Nobody talks to me about them.
Yeah.
Whenever there's a new company, I hear it.
Yeah.
When I stop hearing about them, that makes you.
I think that's where there's money, there'll be people trying to make money, but clearly with your Chimera Society, predating the lab actually, you have a vision for advancing science and bringing improved healthcare and wellness, so we appreciate
I'm here to
that.
help people. So are you. I mean, that's what I hate. Nobody has an MD that doesn't really want to help people. We would have gone into something else. We would have been stockbrokers. It was placed here to help people.
Right.
I'm trying as hard as I can. Just respect that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Duncan Ross, thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to more great things coming out of Chimera Society, Chimera Labs, and partnerships with other institutions. So, thank you.